Welcome to the Divine Radiance Project with your host, Stacey Turner, and co-host, Emma McDonald, where we share all about reclaiming your radiance as women in business, holistic health, money, mindset, and juggling it all around mum life. A place for women to learn about financial independence, entrepreneurship, and balance. From women who aren't scared to speak their mind and their truth. It's time to shine your brightest self and be the lighthouse. Hello, beautiful people. A quick extra note today to let you know that I do know about the frustrating overlap in today's episode. This is one of my very first episodes to be recorded, and we actually did it on Instagram, which we now know was probably a mistake, but the content is too good not to roll with and not to include for you guys in today's amazing episode. So here it is. Please don't mind the overlaps. There is so much gold that Steph has to share, and I'm really, really excited for you to hear from her and continue to keep supporting us, keep sharing. We are loving all of the feedback we're getting, and we are so grateful to all of you. So thank you, and we will see you in today's episode. Here we go. My loves, and welcome back. I am going to be joined today by the amazing Steph Serone. I recently had her speak on one of my BizLaunch Mastermind guest speaking episodes, and the participants absolutely adored her, as do I. So very excited to unpack a little bit more about who Steph is and what she has to offer and get to know each other's communities, because it's just so special finding like-minded people to be able to share resources and to connect with and to be able to, support one another and cheer each other on in our various modalities and the way that we show up in the world. Hello, how are you? Yeah, really well. Thanks, Steph. So I was just giving a bit of a brief intro before you hopped on, but I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I'm Steph. I'm 33. I live in Australia, and I help women get out of their own way, find their self-worth, their confidence, regulate those emotions, and also really fix those survival instincts that live deep down that a lot of the time can be really out of whack and having us carry a lot more stress than we need to carry through life.
Isn't it crazy, hey? Just how things sort of pile up on us, and sometimes because it's our normal, we don't even realize what's happening until we have somebody like yourself kind of reflect it back like a mirror and go, it doesn't have to be this way.
Absolutely.
There is another way.
Sometimes we gaslight ourselves to thinking we're not really giving ourselves the time and space to look at it, but also other people will say, hey, I'm struggling, or will actually say something and be like, oh, it's not so bad. And they don't know how you feel, but a lot of the time it sort of makes you sort of step back and be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be thinking things can change. Maybe I shouldn't be stressing that. Maybe I shouldn't be thinking that I want to actually improve this, or everybody feels like this, so I just have to accept that this is the way that we feel in life.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think also the other day when you spoke in the coaching call for our team, and we were talking about people pleasing, and sometimes we think that we have to act a certain way, or it's not that bad because, we're trying to appease somebody else's feelings rather than our own. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I would love to learn a little bit more about you. So yes, the brief introduction, the bio, right? Like the cliff notes, but I want to know the real you. So like, what's like a key turning point for you in your journey that allowed you to get closer to being the true you?
I think that the thing that why it's so important for me to have this view and the way that I do what I do is because I never knew me. I never knew who I was. I was such a people pleaser, and I cared so much about how other people saw me and making them like me and being accepted and wanted and feeling like I belonged, that I would do anything. And I didn't know who Steph was because I was just this chameleon who would try and fit that in that space for whoever I was with. And that would obviously change because people expect different things from you, depending who you're around. So I had really low self-worth and really low self-confidence basically my whole life. And it kept getting worse because I was bullied through school, but then also bullied in the workplace and then in a relationship, and just was coming at me from every direction. Then I was bullying myself a lot. Just that inner critic was really loud. So I think for me, when I felt so lost and I was looking everywhere for help, it was like I needed to get back to me. She was the one that could help, but I couldn't figure out how the hell to do that. And I think finding that power within us is everything. Finding who we are is everything. Connecting back to that is all we need. There's so much out there that pulls us away from that. So it can be a really hard journey sometimes to get back to that.
Yeah, definitely. And people pleasing is one of those things that is so commonly accepted in society. It's almost normalized that we have to, give away ourselves to everybody else in order to keep the peace, in order to like show up the way that's expected of us and be the good girl and, all of those societal expectations that are actually really debilitating and quite toxic. And it's funny how as humans, even though we're mammals, we are taught that we need to fit in. And I guess there's a tribal instinct there, needing to survive way back when, fit in and be part of the team and do your job and keep the peace. But now we don't have to do that. And, we need to kind of, refine ourselves, move forward with the times and find that balance, right? And it's interesting because with dogs, I know it's interesting to like compare us to dogs, but with dogs, if they don't like another dog, they'll sniff its butt and they'll be like, I don't like you. And it's just like, we normalize that. That's okay for dogs to not like each other, or kids, right? Like young children. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Stacey, by the way. I've got a 4-year-old and a almost 2-year-old. And if they don't like another child, they don't pretend. They're just like themselves. And okay, as the adult around, I get to like mold that into helping them to learn kindness and to role model that for them. But it's just interesting how as adults we get these learned behaviors that sometimes aren't ours. And you mentioned the inner critic that's like was getting louder and louder for you. And now we, in hindsight, the healing work that we've both done, we can see that it probably wasn't even our voice to begin with. It was other people's voices that became put onto us by others. So yeah, it's so many layers that we just, when we release ourselves from that, the shackles, it's so liberating to go, I actually don't need to be liked by everyone.
Yeah,
and I'm
and
okay
being
with it.
okay with it. Because sometimes I think, people logically know that, but it can feel so uncomfortable when we feel such a lack within ourselves for a deeper reason. It's like logically I know this. However, I feel this deep need to be liked and wanted and valued because I actually don't like, want, and value me. And so it's always a reflection of how we feel
Yeah.
inside. But I love how you compared the dog comparison, because the big difference is we have a logical mind, and that's what makes us different as humans, but it can then start a gymnastics. In the animal world, it is just an instinctual yes, no, do this, do that, move on. They're in the moment, and that's it. But we have this logical mind, and then it does start to really make it tricky in those situations where our logical mind's telling us something, and then our survival mind and just our normal reactions are telling us something else. And then we also have, as women, a strong intuition and a gut sense as well. And those three things can be saying three different things at the same time.
Oh my gosh. To be a man. No, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it. In this lifetime, I'm a woman for a reason, and I love it. I love it. But yes, it is a much more complicated experience in this human body that we have, in this vessel that we get to carry around. So I guess part of your journey has kind of led you to where you are now, and like the gift that you get to share with the world, or the passion that you have, your purpose in your everyday. So like share with us what you do and how you help people.
I work with the world's only female specific way to really get to that place of just a really sure sense of self-worth, being fully aligned with our head, heart and gut, so we can actually take those aligned actions without worrying about what other people think, really regulating those emotions down, and also resetting that base level survival instinct stress response. But basically, really, it is just getting back to you. So everything else out there, and we're talking about, men and women, we are really different. Those things that we're all told to do, journaling, NLP, hypnotherapy, talk therapy, all these things, right? They're actually not designed to work really well with the way women are wired. We can find when we talk about or write about our story, we get anchored in it and we relive it, we re-traumatize ourselves. Trying to find when something started and why we feel the way we do oftentimes just makes us feel worse, and even then doesn't actually fix how we're feeling now. And a lot of the time we don't realize that it's not actually designed for us. So we're doing these things thinking, maybe I just need to keep doing it more. Maybe I'm just peeling off all these layers because I'm so messed up. And we can start to actually take on more negative beliefs about ourselves, that we're too messed up, we're too broken. Why does this work for other people and it doesn't work for me? And all these things along with the stuff we originally had. So it just works, the way I work is work with women's mind through a metaphorical approach, which has nothing to do with the woman's story. We don't have to tell our story again and relive it at all, but it fixes all those things that we feel like we lack inside. That stops us from feeling that we can be ourselves and feeling calm and present in the moment. All those things, that those issues and those perceptions that we have really take away from us, takes away our ability to be us, takes us out of the moment, be out of our calm, out of our logical mind, and just brings it all. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, it sounds magnificent, and yeah, such a beautiful way to like journey back home to yourself, being held by somebody else. And I guess, you know, your work around that, you're essentially the conduit or the space holder,
like the little guide
for that individual, that woman. Yeah, like the tour guide. Yeah. It's kind of how I feel like in my business, I get to be the tour guide. Like I'm running my business, and each individual person that joins to start their own business is their own sovereign business owner, but I get to be the tour guide, and I get to show them like, hey, you know, you're looking for this, you're looking for that. I can show you where it is in my online platform that I've created for you. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so fun.
It's still their journey.
Yes, 100%. And they're like lessons and growth and experience to go through. And yeah, that's so powerful. I love that. And so with that, as the value or the service that you provide for people, do you tend to do like one-on-ones, or do you like to guide people through like a longer program? Is that where you see more success with people getting long-lasting shifts?
So I guarantee my results for my clients, because it's very important to me that they know what outcome they're going to get. And that is everything to me. So I don't work with everyone, but when I know that those women are at that point where they're going, yep, I'm sick of talking about it. I know all the whys. I've analyzed it till the cows come home. I just want to fix this now, and I want to move on, and I don't want that story to shape my future. I don't want all that stuff shaping me. And I can see, and I know that they would be a really good fit. It's a one-on-one, and depending on what they specifically need, it's about a month where we work together, one-on-one, basically once a week. And we very quickly move through everything. And sometimes it can be really hard to believe for women, because it's like, well, that's too good to be true, and that's too quick, because we've learnt that as women, we're very complicated. And yes, we are. But when we find the right thing, we don't actually need to unpack every single little thing. We actually just need to fix what's going on inside that's causing those feelings. And that's actually not too hard when you find the right approach. It's just we're using the wrong things to get there. So it's really fun. It's really quick. And it's like, you know, I think there is a lot of belief out there that time is money, and it's like, you know, an hourly rate and all this. It's like for the work I do, it's an outcome. You want to get from here to here as quick as possible. You've already done the hard part. You don't want to keep carrying that stuff and living your days like that. No, just move out as quick as possible. Just like if you've got a tooth that is decaying in your head and you need it out, you're not going to go to a dentist and say, I want my money's worth, take as long as you can to get that out. You're not, are you?
That is very apt right now, because I have a wisdom tooth that is causing me a lot of pain, and I'm meant to be going to the dentist today.
Like, no, you're going to get this out.
So yes.
Yeah. It's not,
get it out.
My money's worth every minute. I'm going to, you know, milk it for all. No, you know what you're needing and what you're going there for. And that is That's what it should
Yeah.
be. There should be an end in sight. You should know what you're going to get and how you're going to feel once that thing's gone.
Yeah. Solution finder, right? So that you can get on with being back to your true self and who you're meant to be in this life. So you get to enjoy this human experience more. We don't have to carry our suffering around. You said like, you don't have to carry it around anymore. Like literally it's time to take the backpack off, guys. You just need the correct support in order to help you take that backpack off. Like get rid of that baggage.
It's actually not that hard, and it's not a really long journey that everyone tells you it is. And I think, I don't know, there's this, with therapy and stuff, it's almost pushed that it's great to have someone there to speak to every week, and it's almost something you should have just like you have, I don't know, a gym membership or whatever. But it's also disempowering when we are at a point where we really want to fix something, we're not moving through it, and it's just also money that we're throwing away every single week. And especially in these times, we know how important that is, and how we can look at that and go, oh, maybe I won't, but then we don't know what else we can do, because we know we're not getting anywhere, but we don't want to keep throwing money away. We know there's other things that we could be putting that money on, which is very true as well. So yeah, it's just the right thing is super important, because it's disempowering when we're doing the stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah. And the disempowerment is key, right? Because I mean, depending on, we'll keep this fairly brief today, but like depending on what you want to talk about, the system is designed to disempower everything and everyone. And so when we reclaim our power, when we can see that that's what's missing and that's been taken away from us, and we get back to that, like, oh my gosh, you unleash a whole new level of magic in your life. And it starts with, I'm getting goosebumps because this is my topic, which I'll save for another podcast, but like, even like empowering women to birth the way that they are meant to birth. Then our babies are born the way they're meant to be born. The mother learns the lessons they're meant to learn to be able to raise the child and feel empowered and connected to their intuition. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Anyway, all the goosebumps. Like, and how we're born is how we live, and how we birth is how we parent, right? So the mother being disempowered at birth just changes everything. So if you need support, it's not because you're broken, it's because the system failed you and disconnected you from who you really are.
Yes.
Ugh. That is the message for our podcast today. So if you want to reconnect to you and F the system and get back to who you are meant to be, work with someone like Steph, or jump outside of yourself into something that potentially scares you to help you reclaim your power, right? And I'm going to put my hand up and say this business that I do is also something that I've witnessed women reclaim their power through doing something that scares them, but having a community of women supporting them and holding them through that transition, like getting back to that rite of passage, whatever it might be. So before I derail our whole podcast and start talking about birth, what is something that scares you? This is kind of like our final question I'm going to ask all of my guests, like something that you're scared of that you probably didn't even think you would be scared of, like an irrational fear, or like,
I'm not really scared. Like, it sounds so silly, but for someone that was scared of everything, was too anxious to even leave the house, I'm not scared anymore. Like, I'm not scared of anything. It just says there's nothing I'm scared of. I used to be so petrified of needles, of dying, of being judged, of like every single thing, catastrophizing everything. But when we peel off everything, it's like, it's just, life is there to be lived. And even anything that you could be like, oh, I'm unsure about that. It's like, well, then with unsurety comes excitement, because there's possibilities. And it's just, our minds are so incredibly powerful. So when we can get to that place, it's, that's just, just you asking me that, I actually realized, wow, I'm actually
what a nice
scared.
wow you yeah. I love those little progress moments where you check in with yourself. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I'm the same as you with most things, but I have this really irrational fear of like bees and wasps, and I'm somewhat allergic to them. So it's maybe not irrational, because, it may turn into an anaphylactic shock, or whatever you call it, reaction. But I also think there's something to do with past lives there, because when you have some kind of fear that I don't know, something else to unpack, I guess, another time. But yeah, it's really funny to tap into those fears where you go, oh no, okay, I think I've overcome a lot of those. And it's okay to feel uncomfortable, right? Like, and discerning that discomfort isn't fear. And discomfort is sometimes just you at the edge of your growth, ready to take the leap and expand into the next version of you and who you're meant to be in this life, like that upgrade of your nervous system.
I think a big part of that is really self-trust. Because if you've got a really good sense of that, it's like, even if you're like, I'm not sure of this or whatever, the trust that you're still held. And I think that is that consistent piece.
Yes. We call it in our business, we call it a delusional level of self-belief. Like, it has to be a crazy, like, you would have that for your friend or your child or like someone you really care about. Now reflect it back and have that like crazy level of belief for yourself that everything is possible. You are supported, you are so held, and everything is going to work out. Because whether it does or it doesn't, if we choose to see it as the blessing that it is, we feel better in the process. And that's coming back to what you spoke about in my BizLaunch Mastermind call. Was it last week? Yeah, last Wednesday for the team. And when we feel good, everything else flows. So if we can learn, like through your program or however other people feel drawn to find this route, whatever they're going on, this journey, they can connect to feeling good in themselves. Oh my gosh, everything gets easier, everything transforms, and we get that flow back. And we're not saying that there's no hard work involved, that, we get to show up and do the do and then enjoy the reward of that too. So yes, I love it. Well, before we wrap up, Steph, first of all, thank you so much for jumping on with me. This has been so much fun. But do you have any parting words for our audiences and anything that you want to share? Also, where people can find you, because even though people are live with you now on your Instagram, when we pop this up onto Spotify, just share your handle so that they can find you if they want to get in touch with you.
You can just find me at _the_true_you_, and then you'll be able to connect with, I've got my website and everything there. But I think the biggest thing, and it was just sort of leading on from what you said there, is how we would speak to a friend, how we would support a friend, how we would cheer a friend on, and how we can see the perception of them when somebody else is stuck in something. They can't see always the way out, and how it's so clear for us to go, you could just do this. And they're like, oh yeah. Getting to that place for us is super important. And being your own friend, being your own cheerleader, and being able to have those positive, kind words in your background for you, as opposed to that critic that you're sort of trying to push away, is really important. And that is totally possible. You don't have to just feel like you're always there supporting other people and trying to then shift yourself into, how would I support myself? You can actually get to a place of really being that for you, and you deserve to.
100%. That's it. It's what it all boils down to. You are worthy, and now it's time to reclaim your worthiness for yourself, because we already see it in you.
You're the only one that doesn't see it. We all know. We can all see it. Yeah.
And each one of us are a miracle for being here, right? So many little things had to happen for us to be born. So let's make the most of this one life in this skin that we have. Well, thank you so much. That was so much fun. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. And I feel like we've got lots of things that we could unpack. So I'll definitely get you back on again another time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye, everyone. Bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Listen, if you love what you heard here today, I would love for you to leave a super quick rating and a review. This helps the show get discovered by new people that need to hear what we have to share. Be sure to take a screenshot of today's episode and shout us out on Instagram, and we will shout you right back. You can find us on Instagram handles It's Stacey Turner and the.emma.mcdonald. If you'd like to find additional resources or work with either of us, then DM us on one of these handles today.